I have been in a slump recently, and not just like a reading slump, but not just a reading slump, more like a little life slump. I thought I could help myself out of it today through retail therapy. There was a girl on TikTok who said that this Barnes & Noble, they're having some like going out of stock sale, some fucking sale where everything in the store is like 40 to 70% off. And I didn't check, I didn't call, I just believed her. So I'm now at a Barnes & Noble where hopefully I'm about to get a bunch of books for 70% off. I've been trying to buy less books this year and it's been very successful. For being halfway through the year, I have not bought a whole lot of shit. But like a 70% off sale, I can't not do that. So let's see how this goes. It worked a little bit, but it also didn't actually help anything. I think being neurologically ill for a year and a half and the state that the world is in right now and, you know, 50 different other things kind of caught up to me finally, and I wound up in a little bit of a depressive period. I'm feeling my way out of it right now, but I need my reading to catch up also. I've had various videos and reading plans that were supposed to be happening over the last few weeks, which have not. And this week I was supposed to be working on some themed reading vlog, but in the interest of mental health, I've decided to push that off also and have just a week of simple, joyful mood reading. Just reading whatever the I want, whatever's gonna make me happy day to day. I really feel like sometimes the way to get out of any kind of a slump is to let go of the reins, to let go of your sense of control and just kind of flow with whatever is gonna make you feel good. So this week we're feeling good, and we are mood reading, and I have no idea. Actually, no, I know what I'm gonna be reading first because I've already read the first like 25 pages, and that is upstairs. That's upstairs, but it's Bury Your Bones and Your Bones? Our Bones. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I was supposed to read this a few weeks ago because I got it as an ARC, but guess what? I didn't. I was slumping. So we were reading it now. I bought a hard copy. Aside from this, no idea what I'm gonna be in the mood to read this week, which is kind of exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing where my mood takes me, and I hope that you'll come along with me. I think most of the things that I got today were horror based. Yeah, most of what I got today is horror, so maybe that's what I'll be in the mood for. Or maybe sci-fi? I feel like historically sci-fi is what I give highest ratings to. So maybe I should go for a sci-fi? I don't know. Maybe I should do Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, which is fantasy, and one horror and one sci-fi. No, wait, no. Okay, not making plans. I'm not supposed to plan any of this out. No lists. For now, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Hey kids, I'm about halfway through this book now, and I have thoughts. First of all, I didn't update you before this because I was busy. I was keeping myself busy to keep my brain from being sad. So in the last 24 hours, I have driven about 5 hours to go to a concert, gone to that concert, and then I sat for a portrait that has been painted of me, which was so cool. Very different experience than anything I've ever done before. Very sick. But now I'm here and I'm ready to talk to you about the first half of Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab herself. I hear you. Hi, come here. Give the people what they want. Oh yeah, that's what the people want. Oh, okay. You doing good up there? You okay? Don't show them that. That's not what the people want. Are you just gonna stay there? Okay, I gotta give you my review from down here then. So we have three girls that are going on. 3 POVs. First girl that we meet is Maria. Thank you so much. Maria lives in Spain in the 1500s. She seems to be from a family that's of average wealth and status. But she's one of those restless, wild, I'm not like other girl types. Like if she grew up in the 90s or the early 2000s, she'd have one of those tattoos with the bird cage, but the bird cage is open and all the birds are flying away. Like that one. By the way, if you have that tattoo, no shade. I'm not even one who can judge basic ass, Caucasian ass tattoos. I have an infinity sign, Roman numerals, a moth, an anchor, a rose. I have every basic white girl tattoo in the fucking book, so I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that's the kind of girl she would be. I actually have at least one way more embarrassing tattoo than that, but you don't need to worry about that right now. So Maria is restless and she wants to be free from the shitty rules and expectations that women had on them in the early 1500s. And she just knows that she's destined for a better, richer life than the one that she was born into. So she basically manipulates this man who comes through town into marrying her. This guy, she's like, I can tell you're f***ing rich. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get inside your head and I'm gonna play mind games and you're gonna give me half your shit. And it works. And so Maria's story goes on from there. Egg, this is starting to hurt my neck. Okay, she doesn't care. Alice is our second girl, our second point of view. She is our girl in Boston in 2019. She's a freshman in college and she's from Scotland. She's obviously running away from some kind of tragedy. There's some grief that befell her. I'm pretty sure I know what it's gonna be. Thank you. Oh my God. Alice really just wants to make friends, go to class, hook up with a hot girl or two, and finally start her life for real. She has this internal monologue going on that is too relatable for my taste, where she continually says to herself, now is the start of your new life. Now is the time when you're actually gonna grab the bull by the horns, get your shit together, and start your new life. Oh, I moved from Scotland to Boston? Now's the start. Oh, no, but I'm gonna be a little bit meek and a little bit mild. So actually it's gonna be when I go to this party. Oh, no, actually it's gonna be when I kiss this girl. She just keeps putting off starting her life, which is not a good call for someone whose life is about to end, technically. No spoilers. All three of the women whose points of views we're getting, they're all vampires. We know that from the back of the book. And then we have Lottie, who I'm still not entirely clear on. Lottie, most of what we know so far is that actually, maybe that's I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. That might be a spoiler. She encounters Alice in some way and we don't know a whole lot about her past that. I will say, so far, I'm very into Maria's chapters and I'm not so much into Alice's chapters. Maria, I would read a whole book with no fucking plot, no storylines, just Maria moving through history. I don't need the modern day timeline. I just need Maria going from beautiful European city to beautiful European city, eating people, and making out. Like I don't need anything more than that. It's kind of a harsh juxtaposition when you have portions of the book that are in beautiful European cities back before technology in these romantic eras. There's always been a lot wrong with the world, but the most romantic version of the world. It's a harsh juxtaposition going from that to 2019 American ass Boston, where we're talking about college life and like going to school. I don't want to read about school. When I tortured myself in February by forcing myself to read romance books, the #1 complaint I had was that I don't want to read about people just going through their normal life at their office job. Like, I don't want to read about Sally in marketing going on a date with Victor in HR. Hey, egg. Jesus. It's 2 a.m., which of course is demon time, so Egg is losing her fucking mind, running around scratching shit. What was I saying? Yeah, I don't want to read about Sally and Bill's date and then they go to the office the next day and they tell their cubicle mate about the date that they went on and then they type in their spreadsheets. I don't want to read about that. I became a photographer for a reason, and it's so that I didn't have to deal with cubicles and office jobs, and so I don't want to read about them. So in that same line of thinking, it is hard going from mentally traveling to these beautiful places intercut with school, classrooms, 2019. I love following Maria. She's not very nice, and I like that. I love an evil woman. Overall, I'm loving the book so far. I'm having a great time. V.E. Schwab is a master of the craft. I've loved everything I've read from her. I do have to read Vicious and Vengeful at some point soon, especially if this is a 5-star like Addie LaRue was. Oh, I have heard people talk about this being like Addie LaRue but darker, and I get the parallels, but it also feels different. It feels different enough. Anyway, I think that's all. This is a mood reading vlog. This is a mood vlog in general, and my mood says I don't want to talk about it anymore. So I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Also, it's 2 a.m. I should go to sleep. That's it. Okay, bye.
Tomorrow.
Okay, it's time to talk about this book. Oh God. Hey. So right now it's 2:45 in the morning. It's 2:40 in the morning. I decided to try and help my depression this week by being more social and to be, what are you woofing at? To be more social, tonight I went to a warehouse rave. And so, what do you want? Murphy needs our attention. What do you need? You want chickens? Oh. Okay, no more. Anyway, I went to a warehouse rave. There was a DJ whose name is R.L. Grime, who was very popular back in my day, back when I was in college and when I was shooting music photography. R.L. Grime came and he played at this like grimy, shitty warehouse. With like a 400-person cap. And I was in there sweating my ass off. And you know what? It felt good. It felt great. And now it's 2:45 in the fucking morning. And so I've decided that now is the time to talk about Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. But first, we need a snack. For our 3 a.m. snack, well, hold on. That's too loud. Not loud. That's too bright. For our 3 a.m. snack, we have a string cheese, some chickpeas, and some Dubai chocolate. Anyway, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I'm gonna do my best to go through my thoughts for the second half of this book right now. If I miss anything, I will catch up tomorrow. I want to talk about the ending because the ending dropped this book down by like a whole half a star for me. I was so into the first part of the book. So we have the 3 points of views. I was so into the POVs in the past, mainly Maria, right? Was very into it. I got less and less into it the further we got towards present day. So Alice's POV didn't hold a whole lot for me, unfortunately, but the ending, and I wish I could talk about it, but I don't want to spoil anything. The ending brought it down like a whole half a star, and I mean like the very ending, like the last 30, 40 pages. Oh, Jesus. There you go. Come on. Oh yeah, Egg wants to say hi too. Ow, ow, ow. Okay. Goodbye. So the last 40 or so pages felt really rushed for like a 550 page book. Felt kind of like an entirely different book. I didn't find the ending to be satisfying or realistic within the context of the realism of the world that the book is in. So obviously you could say, well, oh, you know, vampires aren't realistic at all, but within this world with their set rules, it didn't feel realistic to the story. But up until then, I was having a f***ing blast, except for Alice's part, which kind of was downhill for me. I don't think that Alice's backstory and the history surrounding her family, I don't think it came to fruition in the way that it could have or should have. I did like that we took the vampire metaphor into a different direction. A lot of times, every time, vampires are not just vampires in stories, they're used as metaphors for X, Y, or Z. In this book, we get kind of a meditation on domestic violence. We are given insight into a relationship that lasts centuries, and it feels like a realistic portrayal of domestic violence and of an abusive relationship in general. At one point, for many chapters during a certain person's POV, we kind of lose all fantasy aspects. We lose all vampire stuff. And I, for multiple chapters, forgot that I was reading a vampire story because it basically just turned into gay Bridgerton. And it was kind of fun. And I liked those chapters. Anyway, I'm hopping around from thing to thing right now because it's 3 in the morning and I'm tired and I need to eat my snack and go to bed. So I'm gonna cut this off and I'm gonna talk about the rest of the stuff tomorrow. But I want to say overall, I really enjoyed this book. I really loved it the most when it was the slow meandering opening. We were getting looks into the past. I love V. Schwab's writing. I think she's a beautiful writer. I give up. It's 3 a.m. I can't think. I can't form sentences. I can't fucking do it. I'm gonna go eat my food and I'm gonna go to sleep. And I hope you will forgive me for whatever the editing McKenna is able to put together from the last 15 minutes of talking. Don't know how I was talking for 15 minutes because I don't think I actually spoke about anything at all. I will tell you I gave this a 4. I don't know if you can hobble together any actual information about this book yet. I'll see you tomorrow. It's the egg. It's time for snacks. Bye.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, I'm back to make sense of whatever it was that I said to you last night at 3 a.m. when I was coming home from 5 hours of sweat. Also, sorry for the jump scare. I know this is your first time maybe ever seeing my forehead, but my bangs are dirty, so we're pushing them to the side. Don't worry. So I'm gonna try to avoid points that I talked about last night, but some of them do need some clarification. So I'm gonna touch on just a few, just a little bit. A point that I forgot to talk about regarding the ending and why I disliked it. Almost the entire third of the book is told in a flashback, which is not my favorite way to move through a story, but it's not the worst thing ever. It's really not that big of a deal. I just forgot to touch on it last night, so I wanted to wrap that up. I am sticking with my dislike of Alice that I had since I think the beginning of the book. She is dull as a rock. She is so boring. Overall, when I heard that this book was going to be toxic lesbian vampires through the ages, my hope was that it was going to be a bunch of evil women over the course of centuries, killing people and having a blood orgy, basically. I hoped it would be a lot of gruesome shit. Unfortunately, this book, egg. Okay, come here. Yep, you can talk about the book with us. Okay, here we go. I had hoped it would be a lot of gruesome shit. It was not as gruesome as I would have liked, and some of the characters, unfortunately, still had their morals intact. I would have liked more blood and less morals. Also, okay, you good? Also, toxic lesbian vampires makes it sound like the toxic part is cutesy and fun, when that's not it. It's not cute toxic. It's not like Harley Quinn toxic. It's straight up an abusive relationship, which is not criticism on the book. It's criticism on the marketing, maybe? I mean, maybe not. There is toxicity. There are toxic lesbian vampires in the book, but a big part of the book is like straight up abusive relationship lesbian vampires. So just be aware of that if you're gonna read this after me. Also, for an author who is so good with her words and uses such beautiful prose, I was wanting more, I'll call it world building, but I just wanted to have a better view in my mind palace of all the beautiful places we were in. I've been to so many places that we visited in this book. I've been to London, I've been to Boston, I've been to Venice. I haven't been to that particular town in Spain that Maria is from, but I have been to many places around the country of Spain. I wanted to feel like I was there again. I wanted location descriptors to tug at my senses and give me the burn of nostalgia. I've talked for so long now about this book, and this all might sound like I hated it. I absolutely did not. I just wish it was more evil and more bloody. And gayer. Like, it was really gay. It was very gay, but things can always be gayer. Like I said, it would have been a solid 4.5 if it wasn't for the ending, which I will reiterate again because I don't remember how thoroughly I went through it at 3 in the morning. But the ending felt both unsatisfying and unrealistic within the world that had been built up. That all being said, I loved the first 2/3 of the book. V.E. Schwab can write in words. She is so good at her craft. She is so good at what she does. I just wanted to live inside the first 2/3 of the book. And that's all for Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Now you get to watch me choose the next book, which I actually already did, but editing magic, I'm gonna flip the footage so it makes sense to you chronologically. So I finished Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil last night. I'll tell you about it tomorrow morning, or maybe I've already told you, maybe I flipped the footage and I told you already. I just wanted to bring you guys down here so that I can choose my next book. It's like midnight. I kind of want to I want to read for an hour before I try to go to sleep. So what am I in the mood for now is the question. And the answer is I don't know. I have no idea. My mind is blank. My mind is empty. Why is it so hard? Do I want fantasy? Do I want sci-fi? Do I want horror? Why is this so hard? You know what I want to do? This might be cheating, but what I'm in the mood for is for the jar to tell me what to do. It's what I'm in the mood for, so it's not cheating. But also, if this picks something I don't like, if it picks a prompt I don't want, I'm scrapping this. I am cheating, and I'm just gonna choose my own book after that. T. I can work with that, and that can help me narrow down what I'm in the mood for. That actually worked out better than I thought it would, but I'm going to be cheating a little with my cheating. In my brain, what I wanted was probably a sci-fi, and I wanted something shorter since Bury Our Bones was like 550 pages or something. So starting with T is The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. I usually disregard a the, but it starts with T, and I'm in the mood for it. It's like 240 pages. It's a sci-fi. It's about clones? Yes. A woman's husband is having an affair with his wife's clone, and then he dies. So I'm gonna go get started on this. I'll read until I fall asleep. I'll update you in the morning, or perhaps I already updated you. Unclear. I think I feel myself coming out of the slump a little bit. I hope, because man, that was rough. I read 2 books in all of May, and this was only my second book in June, and it's past midnight, so it's now June 27th. I just have not been reading. I have been watching an assload of movies though. An absolute metric ton of movies. And that just happens sometimes. Some months are more book heavy, some months are more movie heavy. I'm fine with both. I love everything. We love media here. Ugh, get off of my microphone. Anyway, goodbye. I am basically halfway through The Echo Wife now. So it's time for a little check-in. Don't look at all my things. Oh no, more things. So we're basically halfway through The Echo Wife. This book has gone places I was not expecting it to go. Let's talk about it. I have just made it through chapter 17, page 129 is where I'm at. And by golly, let me tell you, I was expecting a book about clones. I was expecting kind of a, what was I expecting? It's like 240-ish pages, so it's like long novella sized. I was expecting kind of a straightforward, very science-heavy clone story, which is what's going on, but also it's not. Let me see what's in the synopsis. I need to know what I am allowed to tell you and what starts becoming a spoiler. Hi, Murphy. Hold on, I have to, Murphy has to go potty. Okay, so according to the synopsis, Evelyn is our main girl, our bottom bitch. She is a scientist and she has developed new research, new technology, and she has learned how to produce adult clones. Her plan is to use them for things like politicians who are trying to avoid assassination attempts, like that kind of shit. that realm. The book opens up with her a few months after finding out that her husband went behind her back and created a clone of her in his like perfect image, very playing God type of shit, and has been having an affair with her own clone. And within the first few pages, the clone has murdered the husband. Evelyn helps the clone clean up, and then we move on from there. All of that is in the synopsis, all right? I'm getting big Blake Crouch energy from this, heavily science-y, but also relationship oriented. You're not supposed to really love any of the characters. Evelyn has a brain that is fully oriented towards work. Her marriage suffered because of it. Her personal relationship suffered from it. Turns out she learned it from her parents. We'll get to that in a minute. Her husband sucks even more. Or he did. He's dead now. But her husband f***ing sucked. I mean, like, after all, he wound up creating a clone of his wife, but he tweaked all the things that he didn't like about his wife. So he made this clone that's submissive and obedient and needs permission in order to do things, and is kind of meek and doesn't really have a spine up until she, you know, kills him. All of this was expected. This was the science shit that I thought was gonna come out of this. What I didn't expect is that this is also a meditation on generational trauma, on parenting, on the way that families can f us up, on trauma in general, on grief, on the way your parents inform your personality, nature versus nurture, abusive relationships, PTSD and CPTSD. But being inside the brain of Evelyn as we go through this book turns the book into a kind of therapy. Like, it's like we're sitting in on Evelyn's own personal therapy sessions inside her brain as she's working through these issues. And I don't really have my thoughts fully together about this, so I'm going to brain dump at you, and we're gonna try and work it out as I go through this. So Evelyn had an abusive father and a meek mother. Her father was a hard ass, an intellectual, an academic, someone who only cared about success. He literally gave his daughter 30 minutes of time per week to ask him a question, and he had an hourglass full of sand in his office, and as like a 6-year-old, she was allowed to talk to her father just for 1/2 hour's worth of sand in this hourglass per week. And it only could be about intellectual topics. She had to ask him about science. She had to ask him about physics and the way the world works and anatomy and all this stuff. No emotional ties, no emotional bond. And he also winds up getting physical with her. He breaks her wrist at one point. He, you know, holds her until she bruises. I don't count these as spoilers. I don't think that domestic violence or abuse should be counted as a spoiler in any kind of media. So as a forewarning, there are things in this book that involve violence. So she has an abusive Luna. It was Luna's 13th birthday today. I have a teenager. Okay. I have a teenager. She loves me so much. Look how happy she is. You happy? Okay. So she had an abusive father and this meek mother who was unwilling to stand up to her father in any kind of a firm way. And Evelyn internally seems to blame her mother. That's the easiest thing to do. She also sees herself reflected in her mother, and she has done her best to kill the attributes from her mother in herself throughout the years. I don't think I said that right. It's 2 a.m. again. I'm gonna say that again really quickly. It seems as though throughout the years, Evelyn has done her best to kill the traits in herself that she believes came from her mother, because she saw all this abuse growing up and she seems to be blaming her mother instead of putting blame on her father, because this is the easiest way to do it, because she has some control there, because she sees it in herself, and so it seems easier to be able to control that instead of controlling the external, which was her father, which then emotionally becomes her husband. If you didn't follow that, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But anyway, throughout the year, Evelyn has rendered out perceived weaknesses in herself in order to avoid more abuse, which doesn't work, clearly. But by aligning herself with her father and shunning anything that reminds herself of her mother, she's using trauma response tactics. She's ingratiating herself with her abuser to try and avoid future abuse. She picks up his traits, she picks up his cruelty, she takes his life advice and she's adopted it into her everyday personality. She's cold with people, she's cold with her own husband, she's cold with her employees, she hardly has any friends. She's kind of turned herself into her father. There's also definitely more here about parenting. She doesn't want kids, but in a way, when she's making clones, she's making herself something of a mother. She clearly didn't vibe with her parents. She clearly doesn't want to be anything like her mother, but she makes these clone children who she doesn't have to emotionally connect to. She doesn't have to take responsibility for. These clones who are programmed to be exactly how she wants them to be, and so therefore she can dispose of them anytime she wants or needs to. Because usually, up until the clone that her husband made of her, each clone is only alive for at most a few months until they get what they need out of them and then they dispose of them. And using your children, or these clones that are like her stand-in children, for whatever gain you want to take from them, is a pretty direct reflection of certain types of abusive child-parent relationships. So she's taken her own trauma. Again, I'm brain dumping here. None of this is steady or firm or concrete or anything. I'm brain dumping. But she's taken her trauma from her childhood, become her own abuser, has shunned anything of the abused women that she's seen in the past, and now she's creating her own fake children that she uses and abuses and then puts down. Therapeutically, there is a lot to talk about here. Additionally, her clone that we are calling, her name is Martine in the book. Her husband created this clone as his like idealized version of his wife. So it's his wife minus all of the perceived flaws that she has, without her cruelty, without her need for control, but also without her ability to like make any kind of decisions at all, her ability to stand up for herself. He's kind of just made her a little bit of a blank slate that will do whatever he says. And somehow this blank slate version reminds her so much of her mother, who was this meek person who was, you know, beaten into submission by her abusive father. So now she has to be around, see, witness this version of her, this literal version of herself, who is exactly like the mother that she never wanted to be. Her own mother that she never wanted to turn out like. She has to witness this. She has to have this version of her in front of her at all times. This person she never wanted to turn into, that it turns out is who her husband wanted her to be. Abuse, abuser, abusive, abusee. The cycles of abuse just keep going and going, and it's not even a f***ing circle anymore. It's the cycles of abuse are so tangled up in this f***ery at this point. And the generational trauma is crazy here. She became her father, and she gets this literal representation of her mother placed in front of her that she has to take care of now. It's generational trauma made real right in front of her eyes, given a physical body. Generational trauma literally incarnate. And I know, or at least I assume, they're gonna have to break some cycle, because now we're going through these thought processes of, are we only ever destined to become one of our parents? Are we destined to take the worst parts of the people who raised us, or the best parts of the people who raised us? What choice do we have in the matter? Nature versus nurture, all this kind of shit. And so if this book is going to have any kind of a happy ending at all, Evelyn and her clone Martine are going to need to team up and break these patterns of generational trauma so that they can lead happy lives. They've already killed the shitty husband, so that's good. But for these women to lead happy lives, we're gonna have to break some cycles, baby. We're gonna have to go to therapy. We're gonna have to break our cycles, break our family curses. And now that's it. I've been talking for 25 minutes about the first half of this book. It's giving me a lot more than I thought I was gonna get from it. I kind of thought it would just be like an easy, short sci-fi, whatever. I love how much it's making me think about this kind of shit. I love how much therapy think I'm having. I love the super sciencey shit. I love Blake Crouch books for the same reason. Like, yes, tell me about shit I have no idea about. Talk to me about shit I don't understand. Explain theories to me I don't know. Tell me about cloning. Tell me about neural processing. I don't know any of this shit. Tell me. I love it. Liking the book a lot more than I thought that I would. Is that it? Is that all I have to say? Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it. I've been talking for so long about the first half of this book. I'll see you tomorrow. Hey, so it's actually been a few days. I got sick. Not neurologic. I have a cold. I have like a gnarly cold and I've had it for 4 days. So I put this off for a few days. Apparently, I felt like the best time to wrap this up was 1 a.m. I should be sleeping. I'm not, but I am gonna go through this really quickly so that I can go to sleep, but we can wrap this up so I can get this uploaded. Also, my microphone is 2 floors up and I'm not gonna go get it. So my mic is not here. I apologize if the sound is a little bit off. I'll try and fix it in post, but if it's a little janky, I'm sorry. I've also just realized I don't think I've filmed a single clip of this video during daylight hours, which I guess is appropriate for a vlog that's 50% about vampires. So for the last half of The Echo Wife, I really like this book. I gave it a 4. If I was still doing 0.25 and 0.75 ratings, which I'm not because it got too convoluted. If I was, I'd put this at a 4.25, but I'm not. So it's a 4, but it's a high 4. One thing I will say, if you are someone who doesn't like books with unlikable characters, this book might not be the one for you. Evelyn is unlikable. She's full of bad emotions. She's full of rage. She is full of anger that boils up right underneath her skin. I liked it because she was so unlikable. You get to witness her battling her own brain at every turn, trying to defeat nature versus nurture, and she gets to become a better person by being kinder to her clone. Because in a way, her learning to not be so cruel and so harsh with her clone is really her learning to be kinder to herself. She is unlikable because it's, at the base of it, it's a battle to remove the shackles of intergenerational trauma. It's a battle and you are going to face resistance within your own head, and you're not always going to be the most likable person while you're doing that. It's a lot to go through. It's a lot of rough emotions to experience. My battery is dying, so I really do need to wrap this up. I liked it. I gave it a 4. I thought it was great. I thought it was about a lot more than just surface level sci-fi clone shit. So overall, I accidentally read 2 books about domestic abuse. Why in a mood reading vlog did I do this? I have no idea. Why was I accidentally in the mood to read 2 domestic abuse meditations? Who knows? I do like books that are about complicated people and complicated relationships. That doesn't always translate to abusive relationships, but I guess sometimes that's just the nature of things. I also got 2 4s. That's a great outcome for this. And I think it has pushed me away from my reading slump in some measure. My battery is really about to die. Thank you so much for being here. The vlog is over now. I didn't expect to only read 2 books, but to be fair, one was almost 600 pages. And I was being a lot more social this week in an effort to combat depression, which also probably explains why I'm sick now. So that's enough yapping. It's time to go to sleep. If you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, I love you. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a fantastic week. Bye. Life slump. Murphy. Egg? Get off. What point am I trying to make right now? What the f am I talking about? What are we talking about? Huh? Murphy. Egg. 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 No. When I heard